working for immigrant community, those who are living in this country for over decades. Since our beloved President Donald Trump took over the office, lots of us and our relatives, families, friends, they're on their bed. They're passing their sleepless night. So today, what we are trying to do is we are going to share our pain and suffering with Honorable Grace Mang. I think that would be the perfect route that one of our representatives, who herself an immigrant, can share our concern, share our pains and suffering with her colleague at the same.
Actually, I don't know what is going to happen. I was called by the chairman of this paper that there's a program event today here. Just 15 minutes back, I don't know even the topic or theme of this event today. I asked Mr. Lida to remove it, and he told me, he said, human rights. I don't know what to say. Anyhow, as the country is under severe problem, Bangladesh is ruled by an autocratic government. Magistrate who doesn't take a vote, she is now controlling our country. Like that of Soviet Union, it only can be compared with the Soviet regime of communist time. I have no other language, I have no other adjective to use for her. This woman, she claims that she is practicing democracy where there is no freedom of speech, there is no freedom of press, individual choice, no opposition party can hold their demonstration, even peaceful demonstration. Nobody is allowed to give his or her own choice of vote. She takes vote using her agents of India. I forgot to mention it earlier. India is the only mentor of her who controls Bangladesh now. It is totally under Indian domination. Our foreign policy, even domestic policy, are totally controlled by India. And these women killing people, those people who are desperate to restore their freedom, their sovereignty and independence. Indian Prime Minister Modi told to her that you are not alone in crashing. He said, you are not alone in your war against the militants. Who are militants? They are militants who oppose Indian domination. Who are militants who oppose Sheikh Hasina's this dictatorial and autocratic government. We are the militants. So, Mr. Gentlemen and ladies and gentlemen, I request you all to do your role to restore democracy in Bangladesh. That will be better for serving Indian American interests, because this India even doesn't want that America should have a solid foundation, a solid active work, active participation in affairs of Bangladesh. Why? India has its own agenda. In many cases, you see, India was against America. Throughout the Cold War, it was as an agent of Soviet Union. Now it took the side of America, and it also maintains its relationship with Soviet Union. That is Soviet, not Russia, not Russian Federation. It is the time Bangladeshi people want to get a real friend. And America is depending on India to face People's Republic of China. And not only Bangladesh, even Sri Lanka, Pakistan, Nepal, Bangladeshi people, Maldives people, even Bhutanese people. Some Bhutanese people don't like India. India has problem with all its neighboring countries. So once you take the side of East America, take the side of India. India is losing the people of all the people of surrounding countries of India. You should take it into consideration and please play a role to save our country, to save our independence, its sovereignty, to restore democracy, freedom of space, everything. Thank you very much, sir.
We are going to talk about community activism in favor of the immigrant community. And second agenda is, since Honorable Congresswoman Grace Mang is the member of Foreign Relations Committee, we are going to talk about our concern that exactly what is going on in South Asia. Massive human rights violation, killing, rape is taking place under the name of democracy. Is happening in Bangladesh, it's happening in India, it's happening in a country called Myanmar. Everyone knows it, media knows it, but very few people are vocal about it. We had an opportunity to meet Congresswoman Grace Mang in the past. Some of the folks, we also went to Washington, D.C. and met a couple of other members of the Foreign Relations Committee. At that time, someone was giving me an idea that why don't you go to New York and get in touch with Congresswoman Grace Mang and then share your concern. So that when she will be on the floor of House of Representatives, she can talk about our concern.
Ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It's my pleasure to be here. The way Jacob Milton having whole day today, that I must be here. Otherwise, it looks like I will not be allowed to come Jackson Heights anymore. Therefore, I put my serious effort to be here. Well, I was listening to the veteran journalist and the good freedom fighter, my good friend Zainal Abidin. After a long period of gap, probably I am here today. So let's do one thing. Jacob Milton is a very good organizer for the interest of our community. And he also very vocal about the interest of Bangladesh around the world. So just give a round of applause for the we are the people, right? We are the people and applause. The way he put the agenda forward, I have to speak a little bit, I believe, two parts. One is the domestic condition in Bangladesh. Another is immigration-related couple of issues and the foreign policy. First of all, I want to talk about the prevailing condition in Bangladesh. As you know, I'm an economist, trained economics, and teaching economics, finance, business, international relations almost over 25 years. I have a lot of articles, a lot of books. Bangladeshi current government, they are claiming they are the champion of development, economic development. It is so surprising that a government, the existence of any government on earth, including United States, is the nothing but govern the people fairly, with justice and efficiency. Unfortunately, in Bangladesh, all of them are missing. We liberated our country, and a very small part for the liberation war. I see a couple of freedom fighters here also. We are proud of that. But the way this country is going forward, even economically, corruption, everywhere is the corruption. And this is the reason. 4 or 5 years ago, with the help of World Bank, I organized a seminar here. And I personally demanded international financial crime tribunal for the Bangladeshi government. Can you imagine a country's government looting the peoples of Bangladesh, our good people? Remember one thing, the way I say in my class, that our country's population over 120 million, which is almost half of the total population of the United States. Surprisingly, with the small land equivalent to New York State. So, in terms of population alone, the existence of Bangladesh is so important geographically. And in terms of humanity, our peoples are so hardworking, they love their country, they sacrifice too much for this nation. And look what the economic justice. Unfortunately, everything is missing in Bangladesh. I have a report on that. I wrote an article about 45 pages, that how this system, instead of bringing the efficiency and economic justice for our people, it's very, very unfortunate. In the name of democracy, they have stolen 2 elections. On the other hand, I must say also, because we have seen in the past, the opposition political parties, they generally create some kind of atmosphere or some kind of cannot do the way they are doing actually in Finland. But they fail also. So in terms of all those reasons, we are in big troubles in terms of Bangladesh. On the other hand, can you imagine? Of our own people, 120 million, almost 1 million people, the Rohingyas, are living in Bangladesh. In the coastal areas, in Chittagong areas, they are living now. There is no international crime. There is no international steps they are taking. I was thinking early that probably this Grace Meng is here, and she is the member of the Foreign Relations Committee. Capable too in the foreign land, I think it is our duty to bring those type of issues. I know Jainal Bhai was talking about India. Listen, the way I see the South Asian politics or Southeast Asian politics, India is getting day by day disintegrated. The state of Manipur, you know, almost 3 years ago, 3 weeks ago, they declared their own independence state. They annexed the Kashmir. Their autonomy is granted by the founding father of India. It is annexed by this killer Modi government. The blood's on our hand. This man, he killed almost 20,000 Muslims in Gujarat. And he became the president, and he doing this thing. They forget their principles of Mahatma Gandhi. They are no longer, they are actually becoming the fundamentalist, Hindu nationalist fundamentalist country, the India as we know now. Therefore, we, those who are living in the foreign countries, Europe, America, Canada, whatever, it is our obligation, I think, to raise a concern, raise an awareness among our community so that we can oppose before it is too late. Many thanks for coming and inviting me. It's nice evening. We talk a lot of politics in a different way, but this, to me, is very important. The environment is very important. If we learn something from our discussion today, I think that will be benefited for us. Thank you.
Mr. David Krongold, he was the Eastern District Attorney for Kings County District Attorney's Office. He became a human rights activist. Also, in his personal life, he is a rabbi. He is helping dozens of people with the immigration problem, criminal case, and some other stuff. In this country, I hope one day my brother David Krongold will become a public official, because this type of honest individual, this type of visionary, we need them at the public office. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to invite my friend and my brother, Attorney David Krongold, to share his feelings. David?
Thank you so much for those very kind words. Good evening, everybody. Good to see you. We all know what's going on in Bangladesh for many years. We've seen it for a long time. I myself have been invited before the community to talk about the outrages that constantly incur from Sheikh Hasina and her cohorts. We heard tonight some of the terrible outrages, some of the worst things that could happen to silence the people that report these outrages. The journalists, they're being massacred, they're being killed. This is the kind of thing we have to stop. In a free country such as the United States, we don't tolerate that kind of occurrence. We need to do something to stop it. And so you'll ask me, after all these years, what can we do? The first thing we need to do is to realize that as much as we are here, established here in the United States, with the safety, with the protection of the United States, we can't rest on our laurels. We have to rise up. We have to join together. We've got to do whatever we can to help people who don't have the benefits of living here. But specifically, what can each and everybody do? What can each one of you in the Bangladeshi community, what can you do? And I'll tell you exactly what you need to do in order to make change, true and positive change. You need to support the people who are fighting on your behalf. Right here in this room, we have freedom fighters, people who have challenged the system, who will do anything they can to help us, to help you fight the status quo. Right here to my left, Hiram Montserrat, the wonderful politician. He's done everything he can to help all oppressed peoples. We need to support him. We need to make sure that he's comfortable, that he's entrenched in politics, so that he can do everything he can to support you. All the politicians that you see, one after another, they come here. They come to help you. They come to hear you. Allow your voice to be heard. Don't sit back. Come to one event, two events. Come to every event. Get involved. Go on YouTube. See what there's to offer on YouTube. All the different people that are trying to help you. They have videos. They have opinions. Share this. Like this. Social media is extremely powerful. Don't just sit down. Follow what these people are trying to do, trying to help you with. Change can only happen if we don't sit back. We can't talk about it once a week, once a month, once a year even. We've got to talk to just hear a speech. I can't talk and make change. You have to make change. And let me tell you what you can do to make change. Support Jacob Milton. He works tirelessly to make change happen. Talk to him, call him on the phone, go to his office, follow him on social media. That's how you make change, because he is going to make the change, but only with your support. We have to constantly work on it. Thank you so much for hearing what I have to say, but don't just hear it and take it for granted. You must do whatever you can to support these freedom fighters, the people in this very room who arrange these conferences, who talk to you on a regular basis. People like Jacob Milton, my brother. You have to support him. You have to make sure your voices are heard. That is how to do it. Thank you very much. Have a good night.
What a wonderful speech. Oh, do you know, if I say that I would take my brother's speech and the speech of Winston Churchill after Second World War, I don't know how many people got motivated by the speech of Churchill, but this room especially. When my brother David is talking, I see fire in his eyes. That fire is for positiveness. David Korngold, thank you so much, my brother. You inspired me. You inspired me for the last 10 years. Over 10 years, he's inspiring me. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, I would like to invite one of my best friends. He also knows Bangladeshi community over a decade. He is a very pragmatic individual in his personal life. He's a practicing attorney. Work with us side by side with lots of human rights issues, immigration issues, and some other issues. He was always there whenever I need him. He is no other than my friend, Attorney John DeMaio. Mr. DeMaio.
Good evening. There was this very small group of farmers. They weren't organized, they didn't even have uniforms. They hardly knew each other. And one day in the Boston Harbor, they decided to take on the greatest empire in the world. That was called the American Revolution, which revolutionized the entire world. The lesson of that is that what a small number of people can do with a great deal of determination. When I was a young man, they shut down schools so we could hear John Kennedy's inaugural address. And one of the things that he said, in addition to ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country, he said that the same revolutionary beliefs for which our forebears fought are still at issue around the globe. The belief that the rights of men come not from the generosity of state, but from the hand of God. And he added, we must not forget that we are the heirs of that first revolution. In the Declaration of Independence, Thomas Jefferson said that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. John Kennedy at one point stood at the Berlin Wall, and he said, democracy is not perfect, but we never had to build a wall to keep our people in. Ronald Reagan, for whom a statue has just been erected in East Berlin, said without hesitation, Mr. Gorbachev, tear down that wall. That level of moral certainty can do so much. Gandhi and his people stood there as others attacked and hit them, one by one. No response. Morality, belief in something larger than yourself is irresistible. And so what I'm suggesting to each of you today is don't be discouraged. Have nothing but joy in your heart, because you and others among you, just a small number, can do so much to change so much. speak.
Dr. Abu Haq. He's a physician, he's a practicing physician at Good Samaritan Hospital, West Islip, one of the community activists and publishers and editors of Rana News. Dr. Abu Haq.
Good evening, everybody. I'm not a politician, not a speech giver, but as every human being, I have a feeling in my heart. I'll try my best to express it. Bangladesh is a small country, huge population, half the New York size. Population is how many times in New York? Small group of people living there in harmony, independent country, but all our independence has been taken away, either by the neighboring country or through their collaborators and puppets. There is no democracy in our country. People cannot talk. If you want to voice your independence in any way, any form, you are being killed. You don't find anybody. Situation is so grave there. Father does not believe the son. Brother does not believe the other brother. Brother may think he is the agent of the government. Father may think the son is the agent of the government, and tomorrow he will be banished if he speaks against the government policy. This is the very truth in each and every house in Bangladesh. Thank God we are living in a beautiful society, beautiful life, democracy. We can speak. The best we can do, express our views, give our opinion, share our opinion to each other, and let the people know what we are and what we stand for. Unfortunately, the countries around Bangladesh all are getting slowly autocrats. China in one hand, millions of Muslims are there concentrated camp. Burma in the other side, same is Thailand, Russia, all are slowly growing again the some way or some form of autocrat and being supported by the famous Putin, you know that. So there will be time, maybe they will be coming here invading our privacy, our democracy as well. It's already happening, you guys know, in the media and everything, how they are interfering our election, our free society, harmony of living. So I have a request for any elected official you have here. Please do something. As you said, start with the small. The Bangladesh is an example. Government are killing our people by the money you are providing. Western countries are providing the money, aid. Bangladesh government cannot live for a month without these aids. Taking these aids, buying the arms, giving this money to all their bouncers, and they have thousands and millions everywhere, every corner, just to silence the democracy and our freedom. Thing is that India, very brilliant, they have a foreign policy wise. Anybody knows what is the that Ethiopia, where the people used to live in the desert and die 10 years ago? They are brought in 20%. Our where? Government inflate, makes 5, 4, whatever, all this nonsense. India gave Sikkim everything. Every citizen gets free money in the state of Sikkim. Free retirement, every citizen, just to keep the country under control. India's policies, expansion policies like that. Old days they used to say, Bharatiya they have expanded their hand to Maldives now. They have sort of government they have occupied, and they have flooded their own in Maldives so that people become silent and they can keep their hand on there. Anyway, that's the way this policy is going. We all try, as you advised, do the small things. We have all the US World Organization to give them a help. They are not a political party. They are either professor, teacher, doctor, engineer, professional, making a group. They are going on to protest, some kind of protest in front of the Jatiya Sangsad, our parliament, on the day of so-called rigging election of, fake and citizen, they cannot touch you. There will be support from all the media, Western media, European. The team will try to meet the ambassadors there, European Union, England, America. The only aim is to please stop giving this killer government the money, taking your democratic, our also part of the earning tax money there and spending the money to kill the innocent civilian and people. So if any elected official here, please help us make the democracy living. That's the dream, that's the vision this country is filled with. If we don't help this democracy in the other small part of the world, slowly, someday, here democracy will be a party of what I feel. Because America is built up with immigrant nation. It's a unique, beautiful quill top, different color, different sizes, different shape, different religion. Please keep the democracy all over, spread the democracy all over, and help this small nation to get back to its democracy and freedom for the people. That's what I say. Thank you very much.
Somebody asked me that, Mr. Minton, why you are mad at Hasina? She's the daughter of a founding father. I said, Bangladesh do not have one founding father. It's a group of people. Their founding father is a couple of people, not just one. He said, no, he's the father of the nation. He says, hey, in a political science, there is no such a term called father of the nation. But hey, sometimes some of the idiots comes up and says, hey, you're not going to swallow that one? Push that one. I'm going to shove it into your throat. He's the father of the nation. At this time, I'd like to invite another gentleman. He's here, and very proudly, I know him in the 90s. He was one of the New York finest, ran for public office, got elected, served people with best of his capacity, and still he's alive. We are together. His brother, and he will be brother. He was brother yesterday, he is brother today, and he will be brother tomorrow. He is none other than former Senator Hiram Monserrat. Brother Hiram Monserrat, I'd like you to come and give us a cup of tea.
Good evening. Good evening. Assalamu alaikum. How are my brothers and sisters doing tonight?
Doing well.
Doing good? I see one of my vibrant, strong sisters right here. Sister, good evening to you. I want to say to everyone, thank you for being here to support this club and what they do and what they represent. You know, in 2000, I ran for district leader here in Queens, first time. I was actually part of a slate of candidates that was running against the Democratic machine. We were running against Joe Crowley. I was supporting a candidate at the time, a council member, who then withdrew from the race when the heat got hot. Sometimes when it's too hot, people go. And I remember winning that race when people said I could not win. Then I had a little break from politics. I was sent on a sabbatical for a little bit, right, Sonia? And somehow or another, I came back to my community, Jackson Heights, Corona, Elmhurst, East Elmhurst, and I continued to see the same problems that I had left just a few years before. And what are those problems, brothers? We see our community, even though we are vibrant, we're working, we have shops, we have families, we have religious, we have cultural and ethnic institutions. We see that still, even today, our fair share of representation is not present. We lack vital services, we lack representation, we lack affordable housing. Right now in our community, we have the Bengali community, one of the biggest communities. I think it's the largest concentration of Bengali people right here in Queens County. But yet, we see how difficult participating in the process is. And so, some time ago when Jacob and my sister Nira and the president of the club came together, I said to them, you should form your own political club so that your community may have a voice. Because even at the international stage, the local politics are what will affect. So I say to everyone, be involved. Don't get tired. Continue. Sometimes there's a lot of difficulties in life. Everyone here shares the immigrant experience in New York. Hard work, being disenfranchised, being marginalized, having opportunities close to you. I encourage you to continue to press on and move forward. Lastly, I want to recognize some of the distinguished colleagues that are in the audience. I see David Aiken, our state committeeman from the 35th Assembly District. David, thank you for being here. I see Ms. Harvey, district leader, also from the 35th. And I see another very distinguished gentleman, but I want to talk about him for a very brief moment. He really is a success story of redemption and progress. And last year, I worked closely with this gentleman to make history again in the borough of Queens. What I love about Queens, we're always making history, right? Last year, we ran a civil court judge. This year, I'm sorry. Last election, June. That's right, the election was in June. So, this gentleman approached me. I know him from the very active role he has played in campaigns and in politics in the city of New York. And we decided to support a woman, Lumari Maldonado Cruz, for judge. Now, the establishment said, we have our candidates already. And even though the Latino community is about 30% of the population in this borough, there was no Latino candidate. And our community was completely pushed to the side. But we continued to do the work that we needed to do. And for the first time in 50 years, 5-0. How do you say 50 in Bengal? Ponachas. 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 I'll get there. 50 years. There has never been an election for civil court judge in Queens County until this year. And you know what happened with our candidate who had less money, almost zero political support. All the elected officials, the powerful people who used to follow Joe Crowley, all of them were supporting the gentleman that the machine was supporting. Well, we won that election almost 3-1. 3-1 because of you. Because of you. Because our community came together and we understood the power that we had. So that victory was a victory for all of you. And I see that this evening we have another gentleman who has joined us. Is it okay if I introduce him? Okay. Got to check with Brother Jacob. Our communities still have so much more work to do, and the work begins from the very beginning with the younger generations to now. I remember when I was a police officer in the 1990s, myself and a group of other very active social justice oriented police officers, we sued the police department. And we won one of the largest class actions ever defending minority police officers. Cost the city $26 million. That's the case that we won. LOA versus NYPD, Police Commissioner Safer. Talking about the issues. But it wasn't enough that we spoke about and against police brutality, about discrimination, about the lack of fair treatment for our communities. That was real. But there was also a very important case that this community in particular can appreciate. And that was a case called Handshoe, which was a case here in New York State which provided for monitoring of the police officers or the NYPD monitoring communities. Now, we know that in a post 9/11 world, monitoring has seemed to be par for the course. In other words, we see it. We know about it. How there's monitoring and surveillance and they're listening to your phone calls. There's a camera everywhere you think there wasn't. And there's monitoring under the pretext that they're doing it for our safety. But there's a very, very basic understanding here in America that everyone's civil rights should be protected. And in that case, the courts ruled that the police department had to have an interagency of leaders monitoring the monitoring, because they were infiltrating organizations that were engaging in political activity, First Amendment rights, right? They were engaging in protected First Amendment activity, and as a result, they were being infiltrated and monitored. Now, there was one police sergeant at the time who was the president of the Latino Officers Association, who took a leadership role on this very issue. And he's here with us tonight. I didn't expect him to be here, but he's here. I'm glad that he was invited. I understand that he's running for borough president of Queens, if I'm not mistaken. And we look forward to him engaging in his discussion over the course of the next few months. We know that there will be a special election, that now there's going to be a vacancy of the borough president's office, and there will be an election again. And Jacob, all the politicians in the borough of Queens are going to come back now and ask you for their vote, ask you for your vote. They're going to say to you, brother, vote for me, I'm the right person. Vote for me, I want to represent you. But I'm going to ask all of you, before you vote for anyone, analyze what they have done to defend your community. Right?
Yes.
Your community deserves to be protected, and I believe that we'll all have an opportunity to take part of our exercise in voting. We're expecting the election to be in either February or early March, or possibly April, depending on what the rulings are with respect to the vacancy. I would encourage everyone, make sure you're registered to vote, make sure your family's registered to vote, and Jacob, come on up because it's appropriate if you do this, introduce him. I'm going to ask Mr. Jacob to help me welcome the chair of the National Latino Officers Association, Mr. Anthony Miranda.
Thank you, my brother, Hiram Mansurat. You know, when I came to this country for the first time, I met a public official. That time he has this type of mustache. He looked a little bit more younger at that time. He said, Jacob, what the hell I should do? I'm retiring from NYPD. I said, you're going to run for public office. He says, who's going to vote for me? I says, well, the way you are talking, you talk really sweet. Let's say people are going to buy it. And guess what? He became a city council member. He was one of the successful city council members. At this time, we are lucky to have one of the candidates who is running for borough president.
Thank you for the invitation, and it's an honor to be here with you. So, let me start by, my name is Anthony Miranda. I'm in Fresh Meadows, Queens, with my wife and 3 boys. I'm just like you. I raised my family here. We came here to Queens to look for better education, open space, and an opportunity to grow our families and grow with the community. I did 20 plus years in the New York City Police Department and retired as New York City Police Department Sergeant. I also was later appointed as the Chief of Police for the Administration of Children's Services, where I spent 2.5 years in that agency. And then now I've decided to run for Queensborough President. And that decision was really based on the fact that I saw things happen in the community, and as I started walking around with my family, we struggle for a number of reasons. One, I have a 12-year-old son, and he's now going to Bell Academy in Bayside, but I couldn't go to the school that was right across the road from me, right, because it was not in my zone. So I was in a 2-tier zone where I had to travel with my son to be able to go to school. I was challenged by that process. In addition, I started walking around the neighbors, and I say things are changing. Not only close to me, but across Queens. Because they're building these luxury high-rise buildings that are only for those who are rich and famous, right? They're not for the people in our community. They're not meant to benefit our community. They are taking the resources from our community and they're straining what little we have already. And they're not making decisions based on anything that makes sense, right? If our schools are overcrowded, if we're losing housing, affordable housing is not available to us, and then transportation system is already crowded, the streets are crowded, We can barely find parking, right? But we can definitely find the traffic agent giving us tickets every morning, right? So imagine we're suffering all these things and they're building these luxury high-priced buildings that are pricing us out of our own communities. We're not the people they're building it for. They're building it for people outside of our community to come in and take advantage of what we lived here so long. I say that the people who lived here and have lived through what we call the tough times, now when things are good, they want to move us out. So we have to fight to hold on to what belongs to us. We have to fight to have the open space. We have to fight to make sure that there are people like you and I that are still controlling things in this community, right? So my vision for Queensborough Hall is, as I talk to people, they want to see somebody who works in Queensborough Hall who, A, is going to have to fight for them, who's going to hear your voice and decide, I'm going to represent you. I think too often, politicians come in front of you and they make promises. And after they get elected, they forget who you are. So I stand on my record for more than 30 years. I've been a civil rights activist, defending the rights of people, not only law enforcement officers, community residents. When we live here, we want to be protected. We don't want to be over-policed. We don't want to be abused. We don't want to be disrespected. And we don't want to be investigated simply because of the way we look. True?
Yes.
Yes. So it's our time. And I say for an independent voice, I'm the only candidate that is not an elected official. And I say that with pride. I don't think any other elected official come up here and say that with too much pride. But I'm the only one running that is not an elected official. And that's because I'm a community resident who just got tired of people making promises and not keeping them. Tired of going to their offices and asking them for help, and they're just not there for us. There's an opportunity for us to make change and to have a strong voice in Borough Hall. You would want to go to Borough Hall and have somebody who looks like you and speaks like you, like I do, right? And we want to be welcomed there. We don't want to have to bring a translator with us every time we need help. And Borough Hall should be a place where we get services. But how many people actually go into Borough Hall? Some people don't even know what the functionality of the borough president is. The reality is they're supposed to be your advocate. And they're supposed to be the chief organizer for the borough, for all the political issues that we have here. Because unfortunately, Congress people get money for our district. Assembly people get money for our district. State senators get money for our district. City councilmen get money for our district. But there's no coordination of services. Queensborough Hall is supposed to be that place where there's an overall plan for the entire borough of Queens. We want to know all the buildings of education that are being built. We want to know about all the properties all the public spaces that are being sold to private people, right? To make $1 billion on our backs. We want to know that information. We want full disclosure. And I think for the most part, most people don't even know the projects that are ongoing here. It's a mystery. You see it after they start building it, right? And then you wonder what was their process, because they never came to the community and asked us if we wanted these things in our own areas. They keep us out of the conversation, and they keep us in the dark. So we want Borough Hall to be an open space, open to all the different communities. You feel like it's your home, you're welcome to come in. There's services there, and there are people there to service you. So in saying that, I'm asking for your vote and your support, because I think your vote is going to make all the difference in the world. What they're doing now in a special election is they're discounting our communities. When I go to certain churches, you know, they turn around and say, Hispanic churches, well, they're illegal, right? And then I go to other communities and say, they don't vote. The fact that they can still say that today and criticize our communities that way, I'm challenged by that process. So when I talk to people, I say, we want our voices to be heard. We want it to be heard all over the borough of Queens and in the next borough also. And this is the opportunity. The special election, they're not expecting us to turn out. They're not expecting to get that vote. And I'm telling you that your vote is going to matter. That election is going to be decided by those people that come out and vote. It's going to be cold, right? They're going to do an election in the middle of the winter. It might be snowing outside and it'll be very cold. And they're not going to expect us to show up because 10% of our community votes. Less than 10% will vote when the weather's bad. So my encouragement to you is say, no matter what the weather is outside in this special election, your vote matters. You don't want to lose an election by 60 votes. You don't want an election stole by paper ballots. We want to win the election outright by the people coming to exercise their right to vote, and that's going to be your voice. Don't let anybody discount your community or the power of your vote. I'm looking forward to having your support. Your voice is a strong voice. You have a lot of power to make a difference in all the elections that are going to happen now. Don't allow anybody to discount you. Discount your voice, discount your vote. It's a powerful time. It's a time for people. And this is where the politics change. Politics normally is heavy at the top, right? They make all the decisions, then they tell you what you're going to get. What we're bringing to Borough Hall is decisions be made with the people, conversations of openness, and this full disclosure. You will have a voice and the decisions of the changes that are going to be made in Queens, and then we act on your behalf. That's different. I'm making you a promise of this. Queensborough Hall will be open. It will be diverse. It will have representatives from all our communities. And we will keep our word when we say, the same way I came to you today, I'll be back here after we win the election, and you'll still be my friends. You'll still be my partners in this process, because we need partners. We don't want to have an issue or have a fight where we're standing by ourselves. If I'm standing in front of somebody for having a fight about some issue, I'm representing you. I'm going to stand with you, and I want to be your partner. So again, I thank you for the opportunity of coming here, and it's a thank you pleasure to speak to you.
We talked about his wife, but we didn't talk about him. He's my brother. He's the brother of Hiram Mansurat. He's one of the practicing attorney and my brother, Attorney Angel Cruz. I'd like to invite Mr. Cruz to come and say a couple of words. Please, Mr. Cruz. Please, come on.
How are you? Good. Good. So, you've heard a lot of talk today about politics. You've heard about how our community needs to galvanize and support and get a voice, as I said, at the table. In the end, what I want to do ultimately is ask you to stand up. Can we all stand up? I know it's been a long time. Just stand up. We call it the seven-inning. We call it the seven-inning stretch because it's been a long day. But I do want you to understand that in America, I'm being advised to speak into the mic. Can I? Oh, no. All right. So, I want you to stand and understand that as we stand together. There's going to be some fights coming in 2020. We're going to need your support and we're going to need your voice. I want to thank you for the support that you've given my wife. Ultimately, she prevailed. And as we move forward, we're going to move forward in one voice. Thank you.
Well, we are almost end of our conversation. At this time, I'd like to invite my brother, one of the founder of Diversity Plaza, that everyone we are standing over there say our concern, Brother Aga Saleh, one of the founder of Diversity Plaza in Jackson Heights. Brother Saleh.
Assalamu alaikum. Good evening. Both angels and humans are choiceless in destiny. But I would say the choice of living a life is our weapon. And my weapon of choice is my choice. And your choice is your weapon. Time has come for this county, which is the most diverse county of the world, and I call this county a capital of living United Nations. We have two United Nations, one across the East River, one is here in Queens. And this Diversity Plaza, once it was a nightmare, and I turned that nightmare into a dream. And I'm proud, with the help of my family, friends, and my neighbors, we made this dream come true. And this Diversity Plaza has become a reason to celebrate America. I coined this name. In all these years, since 2012, the democratic machine advances the Bloomberg's agenda of gentrification here in the city, especially in Queens, which we have a success to defeat them by co-naming this 37th Road as a Diversity Plaza. It was a long fight with the City of New York, with the Queens Community Board. The diversity is not a word. So my argument prevailed. We are a nation of diversity, and this Diversity Plaza should be named as Diversity Plaza to represent our nation. So coming back to the point, 2 weeks ago, a friend called me that we are doing a fundraising for a candidate for Queensborough. Please do join us. I said, who is that candidate? They gave me a name for Tony Morinda. I said, I don't know him. They said, please come and join. So I was reluctant to go there because I never heard this name. But when I moved in, when I first looked at his face, and next to sitting his wife and his young son, that made up my mind. That was my choice. Because when I look at the people, the leaders, when they come for their campaigns, for the practical life, they come with their families. And this has become a basic reason to choose him as my candidate for the Queensborough. And when I start talking to him, I truly got the message from a heart. His heart was reflecting. His mind was speaking through his heart, through his tongue. And immediately I found that he is our leader. And I put his name as Queensborough President in my phone book. And I want to make sure this election would be run on a very limited margin, because historically the turnout goes low. Every vote counts. Every single dollar counts. And if you really want to make a change in this borough, and you want to see a brighter future for our generations to come, please do not hesitate to ask him now, and it's never too late. And today is a very special day for me, that we have a brother, Jacob Bilton. 12 years ago we had a disagreement, but sooner after we resolved that disagreement. And this disagreement has been resolved into an agreement for brotherhood, for peace and prosperity of our neighborhoods. And today, again, this is a very important and blessed day for me, that I see the people of faith sitting together. Muslims, Christians, rabbis, Jews are sitting together, and their leaders are here. We need people of the faith should stand up, because our future is in jeopardy. We have been able to to defeat this machine in this New York City, in Queens especially. Now this has a time come for us to stand united and commit ourselves. Talk to the people. This is a very limited window that we have to go door to door, wake up, make calls, call friends, those who are unable to go out, call them to please go to the polling station on that day when Tony Marinda is on the bus. Thank you very much.
I would first like to address what is going on in Bangladesh, because I think it's really, really horrible. And I have definitely protested on behalf of all of you. Personally, I think she should just marry Trump and get over it. I mean, they should just bellow off into the sunset. Because obviously their views are not the same as ours, because everyone in this room agrees that human rights are definitely important. We're all human beings and we need to be treated with respect and dignity. I would like to say that I definitely thank everybody in the room. I have traveled to India, but I've never been to Bangladesh. But Neera and Jacob have taken me there. Yes. They've made me one of y'all. I love your food. And I love your culture as well, because you're very warm. There seems to always be food around, like you guys are always eating. And whoever comes in can just eat with you. And I think that's beautiful. It's symbolic of your culture. There's a lot going on in New York right now. A lot of things that I am not comfortable with. I'm definitely hoping for a change. I'm hoping for an improvement. I don't want to make a formal announcement, but I will be running for something, and I will definitely be seeking your support, as I believe that you're an amazing group of people. I think Jacob and Neera have great taste in friends, and they tend to attract very positive energy. John, yes, I'm looking at you, and I'm looking at you, and Hiram, and it's good to have you in the room, Anthony. It's really, I'm really impressed. I would, hope that everybody in the room would ask him a couple of questions, just so they can get a feel, because we definitely have a candidate who's in the room running for borough president. So we're going to hold him responsible for a lot of things, because as we know, that is a very important position, and we definitely are black and brown, and I would say less fortunate Caucasians, because I'm not a racist, I'm actually half white, have been subjected to being pushed out. They're building all these beautiful, beautiful buildings, but I love my parents. And I think it's unfair that my 27-year-old daughter has to live all the way in the Bronx just so she can afford $900 rent. I don't think that's right, because she was born and raised in Queens. So a lot that's going on is definitely incorrect, and I encourage you all to remain active. I encourage you all to hold people accountable for what comes out of their mouth, because everybody is your friend during election period. Let's hold them accountable after election period. And on that note, I will say thank you all for listening to me. Thank you all for being here. Thank you all for supporting this club. Thank you, Jacob, for putting this wonderful venue together. Thank you, my friend over here in the corner. I actually love these two because every time there is a catastrophe, somehow I turn around and it could be anywhere. I'm so serious, and I say much and stay blessed, everybody. Assalamu alaikum.
I'd like to invite Mr. Devin, the campaign manager for Honorable Congresswoman Grace Mang.
Hello everyone, thank you very much for having me tonight. I first want to express the Congresswoman's regrets. There was a sudden death of a very close friend, and for that reason she was unable to make it this evening, so I do want to extend her regrets on that behalf. My name is Devin Wellspeak. I'm Congresswoman Grace Mang's campaign manager. So I'm here tonight to speak to you from the political side, to talk to you about sort of what's going on in the current political climate and how that we can all come together to achieve our own political goals. As many of you know, earlier this month there was a general election, and it should send a shiver down the spine of every Republican and Donald Trump in the White House, because Democrats turned out to vote in this past election. From Virginia, where they flipped the Senate and the House of Representatives, to the governorship in Kentucky. Democrats are turning out, they are organizing, and that is from the efforts of people all across the country. But now looking forward to 2020, this is going to be a big year politically. Obviously we have the presidential primary, which will be happening in April. We will have the state, federal, and local primaries in June, as well as the general. And also we will have the borough president's race on a date to be determined by the Board of Elections whenever they decide to come up with it. And it's so vital that we turn out in every single election. You know, there are, in 2019 there was the public advocate special election, only about 10% turned out. That is an abysmal number for any kind of active democracy. We need to be showing up in every election. And that has to do mostly with people being aware of these elections. A lot of times, a lot of people didn't know about the public advocate special election, and so that is why it's up to our communities to organize, to knock on doors, to make phone calls, to contact all of your friends, to let them know that there are elections coming up. Tell your friends, who do you support? But almost as important as any election that's going to happen this year, there's something that's almost more important politically, and that is the 2020 census. The 2020 census is when they will go door to door and ask for an appraisal of every person who lives in Queens. And this will affect the political landscape for the next 10 years. It will determine how the political lines are drawn. It will determine how much in funding different communities can receive. In the 2010 census, Queens was severely undercounted. This resulted in a loss of potential millions of dollars in funding to our communities. And that's why it's essential that we organize as a community to make sure that every person in this borough is counted. Now, in the lead up to the 2020 census, the Census Bureau invested in millions of dollars in different language outreach. However, they did not include a single South Asian language in that outreach. And that is why Grace, she reached out to the Census Bureau chief to demand that they include South Asian languages in their outreach. And while we did not get the funding that we had hoped for, we will continue to fight and to organize. And now, moving forward, I just want to speak to the importance of advocacy and groups like the Bengal Democrats who invited us here tonight. It is so vital that we reach out within our communities to start creating cultures of activism. We need to make activism a part of our everyday lives. It's not just about showing up on election day. It's not just about, people showing up when there's time to go vote. It's about every day being involved in your community, organizing your community, reaching out to your friends, to your family, and people who you don't even know, going door to door, making these phone calls, and sort of building coalitions of like-minded people to be active in every level of government, from Congress and president down to district leader and then local state committee. Every election is important. Every elected office is important. We need to organize, and then we need to elect people who we believe in. And again, I just want to thank you all very much for having me here this evening. Feel free to come up and talk to me about, how do we get involved in different levels of, activism. And I want to thank you all again. Have a good night.
Lots of Bangladeshi folks are running for public office. I'm really happy that they're running. I really do. But when I'm looking at them, I'm looking for substance, that why they're running for public office. If someone is running for public office just for the name's sake and make a couple of dollars of matching fund, how am I going to support those candidates? Even if that person is my brother or my friend or from my community. It surprised me that some folks are running for public office. I remember a couple of years ago, I was supporting Congressman Joe Crowley. Do you know a couple of years? I would say a couple of, I'll tell you when exactly. It's probably 2003 I was supporting the candidacy of Congressman Joe Crowley. At the time he was telling me, Jacob, I'm the best friend you can ever have. I said, sure, just tell me why you are best friend of Bangladeshi community. He says, I'm the vice chair of Bangladeshi caucus at the House of Representatives. I should have been happy, right? But I wasn't. I turned around, I said, you are also the vice chair of Indian caucus, aren't you? And guess what? For the last 20, 30 years, these men never took the side of Bangladeshi people.
Yes.
He took the side of Indian people. India as a country. Why? Because Indian folks gave him more money than Bangladeshi people. But tell me, that don't stop Bangladeshi people writing millions of dollars check to Joe Crowley. I was doing a television interview. At the interview, I asked him, what did you do in regards to the water of Ganges? And he says, it's a bilateral issue. I said, did you take the side or play the role of referee? Or you took the side of India? Do you know in Bangladeshi community, when they are looking at me, they just looked at me like a freaking devil. One of the devil, because when I see the black color, I said, this is black. A couple of minutes earlier, I said, we Bangladeshi people are too peaceful, too gentle. Do you know why I said that? A couple of days ago, I went to an event. Usually, I don't go to a private event. They're describing a couple of monsters. Oh, they are good community activists. I'm just looking at them. Oh, my people, Bangladeshi people, you're my friend, you're my brother, you're my blood. But fact to the matter is, describe me the way I look. In your eyes, if you see Jacob Milton is fat, call me fat. Don't describe me. Jacob is a skinny young guy. Do you know when you describe me skinny young guy, you are not my friend. You are my enemy. So when you are describing Bangladeshi people, oh, someone is wearing hijab and running for public office. No substance. My sister Talia came to me. He says, brother, why don't you support Bangladeshi people? And I says, Talia, why you have to tell me to support one of my brother and sister? And he says, what's wrong? I says, these people are running for the sake of running and would spare a couple of dollars from matching fund. That's why they're running. Whether it is a female or whether it is a male. How am I going to support? Mr. Tony Miranda is running for borough president. I'm sure he's qualified. I'm sure he's well versed. I'm sure he knows exactly what is the responsibility of the borough president. I know if I'm going to put him on my television program, he's going to talk for 2-3 hours. But I'm letting you know, my brothers and sisters from Bangladesh, any of the people are running from our community for American office, tell them to sit down 2 minutes with me. If any anybody can come and describe that why they're running for public office, I would support them. And we have another tendency. Go outside, they will describe. Jacob Milton looked like a handsome, skinny guy. Don't be happy. Jacob Milton is not handsome, neither is he skinny. He's a fat-looking lunatic. Describe me that way. That's going to fit me better. Do you know what I'm saying? Learn how to accept the truth. Nothing but the truth. Please. And our media, I love them. A couple of people are really good. Our Bangladeshi media, some of the folks are here. I love them dearly. But guess what? When they see a black color, they're gonna say it's white. That's how good they are. They're gonna look at a monster. A lady kill people, and they're gonna say mother of humanity. I love them.
Devi.
Yeah, they're gonna call them deity.
Devi, goddess.
Okay? So, I'm not here to give you any advice, because I don't have that quality to give you advice. I don't have that much qualification or goodness or quality in my life that I can offer you any suggestion. Only thing I can ask you, I am learning to tell the truth. I'll summarize in one sentence. I used to date a girl who is 6'3" tall. So my girlfriend and me, we are walking next to Bondi Beach. So one of the Australian guy called me a midget. So my girlfriend walked and just punched on his face. So I asked my girlfriend, what happened? Why did you hit him? He said, he called you fat and midget. I said, why you got upset? He said, Jacob, he called you fat and midget. I said, I am fat. If you cannot accept the fact that I am fat, then you are not my girlfriend. Get the hell out. And another, oh my Bangladeshi people, I know you got a couple of dollars. Don't just write a check to the public officials right before election. They are coming and you guys are getting crazy just to take a picture and post it on the Facebook. Please don't do that. Those people will never do anything for your community. I can guarantee you. What's wrong with you guys? I went to Congressman Peter King. And Peter King looked at me and said, Jacob, you are the only Bangladeshi guy who refused to take a picture. Why you are not interested? I said, Mr. King, if I take a picture with you and post it on the social media, people will have expectation from me. They will think I'm close with you. Then why the hell I'm not doing something? From Bangladeshi people, they are running for public office. If you tell them to talk about policy, they are not going to be able to make one line. Whether it is Joy Chaudhary, whether it is Jubaida, whether it is someone else. Bring them in. 1 minute, I'll sit down with them on my television interview. On the other hand, I'm going to put Mr. Tony Miranda on my television program next week sometimes. And my sister Talia says, you should ask him question. I'm not going to ask him question right now. On my television program, the way I fried you, I'm going to sit down with him. He looks like an educated guy. He looks like someone like me. He looks like someone who cares about community. So we can sing the same song, right?
Yes, sir.
My apology if I hurt anyone's feelings. My sister and my mother told me, brother, you are still single. No girl likes you because you are looking at them and say something you shouldn't have said. Well, that's a bad news for me. What can I do? That's the way I grew up. That's the way my life is. Thank you, everyone. I love one of the journalists, famous journalists from Bangladeshi community, Nazmul Hassan and Poricha, and my brother Dr. Haq at Ranar News, and other journalists, my Journal Bhai and some other folks. I love you guys. Don't take this criticism personally. I know you guys have to publish your newspaper and exist in a Bangladeshi community. But at the same time, come on, you are lying for 6 months. At least take one risk. Tell the truth. I'll be proud of you. I love you all.